people who have their moon in the sign of Scorpio when they were born, this is a very intense position for the moon. So this is one of the most difficult positions for the moon. There is another one, but this is probably the other, I would say, the most difficult position, because Scorpio is such a deep, intense sign. And imagine when your emotions, the emotions are already, quite, when your emotions are deep and intense, and Scorpio is a fixed sign and unchangeable. So when they experience something, they keep it for years on, and they dwell on it, and they remember it. They don't forgive, they don't forget easily, because they experience so deeply, it just stays locked inside of them. It's very hard for them to let go of things that happened to them in the past, because they experience them so deeply. Someone with moon in Gemini would flip through those experiences and forget it. If the same thing happened to someone with moon in Gemini and to the moon in Scorpio, the moon in Scorpio will react deeper, more emotional, more, will keep it longer. But they will not show their emotions, because Scorpio is not a demonstrative sign. They have very deep, brooding, seething emotions, but under the surface. Imagine like a big iceberg. This is what Scorpio is symbolized by. You see on the surface very little, and it's all happening under the surface, and it's locked. It's ice. It's it's very hard to break. It's all happening very much under the surface for them. So if you have your partner with moon in Scorpio, they might not be showing what they feel like, and they will be watching you and observing you and testing you before they let you in. Or if they discover something about you, they will not disclose it immediately. If it was someone with moon in Leo, they'll throw a drama, they'll but the moon in Scorpio will watch your steps, because they have a very controlled emotional reactions. That's very much about people moon in Scorpio. It's about controlling their emotions, controlling their reactions, and it's very hard to do this. So sooner or later it just comes out, bursts like a volcano on the surface, and it gets very explosive and very, very explosive. Very deep crisis emotional situation from one extreme to another. There isn't a gray situation for people with moon in Scorpio. They either white or black. They're extremes, the emotions are extreme as well. They either love or they hate. There isn't like, it's very black and white, as I said. And extremism, this is Scorpio, this is extremism in emotions, in habits. It's very hard for them to change habits, because Scorpio is a fixed sign. They're very fixed in their habits and in their everyday routines, and in their emotional reactions. So if you have to teach them from very young, if you have children with moon in Scorpio, you have to teach them from very young. Otherwise, they have to learn in their rock hard school. What's that called? Knock hard, something. The school of hard knocks. And you have to teach them good habits from very young, because they keep them for very long after that. And the emotional reactions are very intense, very passionate. They are not looking for superficiality. If you want to go in a relationship with Scorpio moon person, you have to want something deep and intense, dark almost, so visceral. Nothing superficial, nothing light. They would need to feel that they're in control in the relationships. They will need to, people with moon in Scorpios, if they feel threatened emotionally, they might show their stink, and become manipulative, become secretive. They might become very possessive, and as well jealousy, paranoia. It's very often people with moon in Scorpio that they get paranoid. That's why they're so careful when they get in relation. That's why they test people, because once these feelings take over in them, it's very hard to get loose, but they're also extremely loyal. Once you're in their heart, they will be with you for years and years, and they don't look for superficial things, as I said. Total intense involvement, nothing less will do for them. And they get along best, they can live best with other people who have deep moons in emotional signs, or in more serious, stable signs, rather than, you know, you have to compare the moons of people when you compare if they are compatible to live together, because the moons is the reactions, the emotions, the habits at home. And if you have someone with moon in, let's say, in Libra, and someone with moon in Scorpio, it's, you know, Libra is much lighter emotionally, while Scorpio needs intensity, needs darkness, you know. And when they go for a relationship, they never pursue something half-heartedly. They become obsessed, basically, you know, emotionally. They become very to the core of you. They want you to become obsessed with that. It disturbs them if you're light-hearted about the relationships. They need to know that you're all in, just like they're all in. This obsessiveness, this deepness. But there's very sensual and sexual as well, you know, this involvement, this deep involvement. Don't go for light-hearted relationship with them, as I said. And there is a very mysterious aura about them, you know, this secretive Scorpio energy. Even if they're some sign that is much free, loving, like Gemini, you know, much more superficial. If you have a moon in Scorpio, you have already this mysteriousness about you. You have this depth that otherwise you wouldn't have. You know, you're not an open book anymore. And people with moon in Scorpio, they'll never take anything at face value. They will, you know, they'll go always much deeper in the situation. They will analyze it. They will observe it. They will, you know, they know the darker side of human nature, and they feel undercurrents. And if something is happening behind the scenes, if you have some back motivations or some back hidden agenda, they will figure it out. You know, you can't hide this from a moon in Scorpio. People with sun in Scorpio are not so perspicacious or so insightful as people with moon in Scorpio. They're psychologists, these people with moon in Scorpio. They feel any undercurrents. You can't hide feelings for them. They, you know, they have probing nature that will go the depths to any situation. They will not, you know, not take it lightly. And they express feeling, as I said, in an indirect way, which conceals their very powerful, passionate nature. And they need intense relationship, intense, intimate relationship. And they're very hard to forgive and forget, but very mysterious and very, very insightful. They're like scanners, you know, they see through you. There is something magical and mystical, mysterious about them.